get started. We're still having technological difficulties. If I can have your attention. Thank you. I know everybody's totally like jammed up about this, and I totally feel it. Thank you. It's very exciting, and you know, when you see the ERA as being an actual possibility, it's feeling good. So, si se puede, everybody, si se puede. Yeah. So we're hoping that this is going to pop up soon. We may have to do without it, but you know what? We're women. We always wing it. We know how to get this done. We didn't have hundreds of millions of people marching in the streets this past January because we're not wingers and making things happen. But, so, hi.
Hi.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Jacqueline Kozin. I'm chair of the ERA committee, and I'm from Connecticut. I'm on the national board. Obviously, we're on the committee, we're on the board. But I am, I'll be honest, new to ERA. I'm younger than some of you here, but it doesn't mean my passion is any less for gender equality in our Constitution. I think if you can have guns in our Constitution, why not protection for women in our Constitution? So that's why I'm excited about it. We're going to do introductions right now, and then we'll get on started.
Okay, I'm Audrey Muck. I'm from North Carolina, and we are one of the states that's, you know, working to get our state to ratify, even in the depths of partisan gerrymandering. And I am passionate about the ERA because it was brought to my attention that Samuel Alito himself said that women are not protected under the Constitution, and therefore that is the paradigm that our courts are working under whenever a gender discrimination case comes before them. So that is why we have to have the ERA. I'm sorry, did I say the wrong name? Sorry. Antonin Scalia. Yeah, sorry.
They all blur together.
My name is Gina Austin Fresh, and I'm from Wichita, Kansas. And I've been passionate about the ERA ever since we were trying to get it passed. I remember going door to door in Oklahoma when it was a state that we needed to get the final ratification. But I've been teaching at a community college in El Dorado, Kansas for the last 10, 12 years. I just recently retired. And I was always surprised to find out that my students really, the female students, had no idea that the ERA hadn't already passed.
Yes.
We hadn't achieved all of these things. And so that's one of the reasons that I'm still passionate about it now, because we don't have equal rights yet.
I'm Barb Miller, and I'm from Illinois, one of the target states for ratification of the ERA, and basically the state where it died last time. So that's very fresh in my memory, those of our other sisters in Illinois. I'm passionate about the ERA because I want to honor the hard work and sacrifice of our foremothers, some of whom who died were in prison, tortured, and gave up the pleasures of just common, ordinary life so that we could have what we have today. And try to keep that for the future generation. I'm tired of seeing rights eroded and want to give a better world after all this sacrifice and hard work to the young girls and women of today.
Okay, so just a little housekeeping. I know, again, everybody's excited, but if you can keep the little conversations to afterwards, just so that I'll be honest, a little thrown off about the PowerPoint, but we will power through without the PowerPoint. So we can do that. And we'll answer all questions at the end, so if you can hold them to the end, just so that we can get through the presentation and then begin a dialogue. Also, I just want to give a heads up that the ERA committee is hoping to engage all NOW members with our work. So there's a sign-up sheet for your name and email up here if you'd like to be involved with helping us make this happen. So I'm going to first introduce the National Action Program. We all know 2017 brought in some political challenges, but some political excitement because finally women are taking to the streets, getting off the sidelines and engaging.
That's right.
So while I guess that's my silver lining when I was in the fetal position for about a week after Hillary lost. So we now have what is called the resistance. And so NOW's contribution to the resistance is the National Action Program. This is how we are going to be engaging the grassroots throughout the country and our chapters and members. So the National Action Program has 5 campaigns. ERA is one of them. Protect immigrant rights, advance voting rights, mobilize for reproductive justice, and end the criminalization of trauma. That's the sex abuse to prison pipeline. So today, we are going to discuss what we've been doing as an ERA committee, what NOW has been doing to support ERA efforts to get gender equity to be included in our Constitution. As we work on the different ratification strategies and throughout the country, we hope you will get involved and engage with us. And hopefully today will give you some insight and inspiration to make it happen, because this can't happen without being a team and working together on it. So we look forward to working with you. So I'm going to hand it over to Audrey now.
Thank you. So basically, what is the issue that's going on here? So despite years of activism since Congress approved the ERA, the constitutional gender equality is still not a reality. And NOW supports an inclusive and intersectional ERA interpretation that encompasses equitable access to all aspects of reproductive health care, and that emphasizes the needs of marginalized communities, including LGBTQIA+ persons, immigrants, women of color, and women with disabilities.
Would you put it on a mic? Nobody can hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's better.
I'll lift it up.
Oh, yeah.
I'm right here by the speaker, so I was hearing it loud.
No, we want to hear your words of wisdom.
Oh, thank you. So to achieve unwavering protection for equal pay, for job opportunities, education, and for healthcare, we need the ERA. And now I'm going to pass the mic to Cindy.
Okay, well, there's supposed to be a slide on the screen to help you with all these dates that I'm about to go through, because I was going to give you a history, a timeline of the ERA. And it might pop up, but I'll try to go slow. Most of you know all of this history and these dates anyway.
We have it in the handout, honey. Yeah.
What handout?
Oh, okay. It's small. Okay.
All right.
Well,
We don't have any more handouts, I'm sorry.
That's fine, I'm just saying, don't rely.
Right, well, we can send it to you afterwards if you're interested.
All right, history, ERA history and timeline. Since 1967, NOW has made advocating for constitutional gender equity a priority. This advocacy was instrumental in passing the ERA through Congress in 1972, and it endures today. The mid to late 1800s and the early 1900s provided the groundwork for constitutional gender equity. Activists at the Seneca Falls Convention in 1848 and the Women's Suffrage March in 1913 paved the path. We're going to get this one.
You're the man.
Timeline stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joya and Rachel.
There we are. Okay, so the Women's Suffrage March in 1913 paved the path for the 19th Amendment and the eventual, turning page, introduction of the Equal Rights Amendment in 1923. Despite the historical relevancy of this advocacy, it is important to note that at times this advocacy excluded women of color, LGBTQIA individuals, and marginalized communities. This history inspires NOW to advocate for a diverse and intersectional ERA interpretation. So, after the ERA's passage out of Congress in 1972, it went to the states, where 38 states were needed for ratification. now coordinated a 100,000 person ERA march in 1978 to extend the window of ratification to 1982. Despite the fact that the ERA was not ratified by the required number of states by the deadline, 3 short, this passion and activism trickles into now's current advocacy and inspires a new generation of feminists. As we explore ERA history and celebrate the activists who have made it their life's work, we are further inspired to make constitutional gender equity a reality in modern context. Specifically, we want to note that just this year, March 22nd, 2017, Nevada ratified the ERA. And this has brought about renewed energy and attention to this vital push for constitutional gender equity.
It's the other way. Oh, it goes to you.
Lock the mic. Look at this beautifulness. Woo! How many of you were out there on January 21st? Yeah. Got your pussy hat on, making it work. No one's grabbing this. Unless they're invited. Sometimes yeah. So grassroots mobilization is the heart of the National Action Program. And the Women's March in January really helped to elevate the ERA again. I don't know if people, when I was there, I saw ERA signs, and I saw lots of NOW signs, which was really warmed my heart, I have to say. And I'd be like, I'm a board member, give me one. You know? They were not impressed, but whatever. I thought it was a badass there. But what we saw was hundreds of millions of women around the world stand up for their rights. And finally, who said that? Someone just said, finally.
Chicago.
Yeah, no, finally, women, when I was co-president of my chapter, when talking to women about this, they were like, oh, well, whatever. Today, not the case. So it's very exciting for me. And it's key for this program that we take action to make it happen. So, again, I'm just pleading for your involvement, which I can sense the energy and know it's here. So anyway, Barb is going to take it away on strategies for ratification.
The National Action Program, can you hear me?
Not very
Okay.
Put it right to your mouth.
Is committed to advocating for the ERA through both the 3-state and start-over strategies. With the 3-state strategy, the premise is to build on the existing state ratifications already approved by 36 states. If we do this, only 2 more states are needed to successfully ratify the ERA. 38 states are needed in total. An issue with this strategy is that we are past the original deadline for ratification, but there is precedent to extend the deadline because a long time ago, Congress needed an extended deadline to give themselves raises. So here we are, huh? Thankfully, legislation has already been introduced to lift the deadline by U.S. Senator Ben Cardin and U.S. Representative Jackie Speer. So that's underway. The start-over strategy is underway also. Legislation has been introduced to reintroduce the ERA as a proposed amendment to the Constitution by U.S. Senator Robert Menendez and U.S. Representative Carolyn Maloney.
Yay, Carolyn.
This will effectively restart the ratification process. So it's up to us now to educate our legislators about the vital importance of constitutional gender equity and work toward ratification using both the 3-state and start-over strategies. To look at the current state of the ERA, we are closer to ratifying the ERA than we've been in 30 years. Thank you, Nevada. Anybody here from Nevada want to raise your hands? We can all praise you. Okay, 2 shots. All right. Well, Nevada ratified the ERA on March 21st of 2017. So we're technically not the three-state strategy anymore, although everybody can't afford to reprint all their literature and all the ads and everything, so a lot of people are officially calling it the three-state strategy. We're now the two-state strategy. We're looking forward to becoming the one-state strategy.
Zero.
Probably we'll be getting to changing the name on everything as time passes, but then we're hoping it's already out of date and we're down to, zero-state strategy. Who knows? So, forging ahead, the unratified states that we're focusing on are states like Virginia, Illinois, North Carolina, and Florida to ratify the ERA to the U.S. Constitution. So now Audrey's going to tell us about the ERA campaign strategies.
Okay, so now it's taking a three-pronged approach to ERA advocacy. So through these facets, now is continuing to work for ratification, to expand the ERA's audience, and to educate our members. So we're leveraging our social media presence, and we're educating members and followers about the ERA. We're also highlighting issue areas and promoting state actions. And the social media guide that's available online gives members and chapters tools to promote constitutional gender equity. And we, part of reaching out to younger feminists, we have a new blog, this Visions for Equality, to engage young feminists to share what they see as, what life could be with the ERA passed. And I'm passing this to Gina.
Okay, I'm gonna take it out. Yeah. I'm coming out in the middle because we have a little activity for you all here in a minute. In our current political climate, holding our lawmakers accountable ensures that women have a seat at the table. We now know that since November of 2016, women have made up 86% of the calls to Congress and the White House, and now wants to expand on that advocacy by telling lawmakers what the ERA means to you. So we're going to do a little brainstorming here for just a minute. And if you could think of, one sentence that you could write to your congressperson, we have postcards for you to do that in just a minute, that would be very clearly stating about what the ERA means to you, why the passage is important now, how it is relevant. I thought maybe we'd have, I know you can all offer some reasons, stand up and say something just to give people some good ideas of how to be very clear on this on the postcards that we're about to pass out to you. So does somebody have something you want to say?
Our sons and daughters are equal.
Our sons and daughters are equal. Okay, anybody else have an idea for these postcards? Yes?
Affirm my inclusion in the human race.
Say that again.
Affirm my inclusion in the human race.
Affirm my inclusion in the human race. And these postcards are starting to get passed out now. I don't know if you all have pens, but as we get some ideas of what to put there, we'll be collecting these and delivering them to the members of Congress from you after this convention. So yes, what do you have?
I'd like to actually read what the ERA says.
That, okay. All right, that's at a future slide,
So I think it's really important to just say it's equal rights for all. Men and women, for all. Intersex, trans,
Right,
it's
yeah.
equal rights for all.
All right, although everybody is writing on these cards what it is, how it's relevant to them personally. So that's a good point, but you can still write about your own personal feelings there.
Are we supposed to write
Yes?
our congresswoman's
I was
name?
going to say,
Write your name and
guarantee
address.
equal rights for all, ratify ERA.
Guarantee equal rights for all, ratify the ERA. Yes?
Write your name and
My senator, Patty Murray, she's Democrat, she's a strong feminist, but she's not on SJR 5. So if you could address one of your postcards to Senator Patty Murray.
Are we addressing these stars? Or putting our name on it?
If you could put your congressperson on it. You may want to point out that we have a list of sponsors.
Yesterday at the table, it said right next.
Oh, in the handouts that some of you have on your chair are a list of some of the sponsors of the ERA. You can address this to your congressperson, or if you want to address it to another state's congressperson, you could do that too. You don't have to know the address if you want to put a name on there. If you want to leave it blank,
And if they're
we'll
a
take
sponsor,
care of it.
thank them.
Yeah, if they are a sponsor of the ERA, definitely thank them. Anybody else? Yes.
Ratify Women's Partnership in America.
Ratify Women's Partnership in America. Yes?
We have to have something to reflect that women are the majority of the voters.
Yeah.
Okay. As one of the majority of the gender in this country, I urge you to ratify the ERA. Yes?
I think along with that, we have to do in the workplace, so something like equal pay makes for a better workforce.
Okay. The ERA would help to ensure equal pay
But I think that you have to do it with, and make for a more productive work.
and make for a more productive workforce. Okay? Yes?
Senator Bill Nelson is our guest speaker today. He's not on the list. I think it would be nice to hand him some of these at the end.
That's a good idea. Okay. So Bill Nelson might be who you're addressing this to. Yes? Vote like your job. Ratify the ERA. Vote like your job depends on it. I like that one. That's good. Yes, and back.
Same thing, I was gonna say, would ensure your reelection.
Ratifying the ERA would ensure your reelection. Yes?
That's one.
Secure the future of humanity. Women are the future. Back there in the orange?
Help women ensure property rights for their heirs.
Help women ensure property rights for their heirs. Yes?
Would be the right thing to do and make us happy.
But ratify the ERA because it's the right thing to do. And you want us to be happy.
Remember the shall go on strike.
Do it for your mother.
That's what they did in
There's
Libya.
a Chinese saying, women hold up half the sky.
Yeah. Over here.
No sex issues are everyone's
Women's issues are everyone's issues. Ratify the ERA. Yes?
Equal taxation, equal rights.
Equal taxation, equal rights.
Stop paying our taxes.
All right. Yes? Women's rights are human rights.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna cry.
So, if you have enough ideas, write on your postcards. We'll give you a few minutes to do that. We will be collecting them, and we may be delivering some of them, as you said, whenever after lunch, before lunch, something. Okay.
Rachel, well, yeah.
Put them online.
Gina,
Oh, that's
you
awesome.
can take this blank one.
She'll probably need the file, though. Yeah, they'll put it online.
Where are you? Oh. Rachel, what are the asterisks for on the list of senators? Some of them never asked. Oh, the most recent. Okay.
They're sponsors on the legislation. Yeah.
Yes?
The Equal Rights Amendment would strengthen families.
The Equal Rights Amendment will strengthen families.
Yes. Decrease violence. It's a family
The
issue.
Equal Rights Amendment will decrease violence.
In charge.
Put women in the Constitution just like men. It's way past time.
Put women in the Constitution just like men. It's way past time. Way past time.
Are these going to the Senate or both the Congress and Senate?
These are going to both Congress and Senate.
Yeah.
Yeah. when the NOW staff returns to DC, they're going to deliver these postcards to members of Congress. So that's why after you write them, we're going to collect them from you, and then they will get delivered.
We should sign our name and put our email address on the postcard too, because they don't like your
Right. Like, absolutely, sign it. Yeah.
Yeah, put your name and the town and state that you're from when you sign it, so that they know you're a constituent.
Zip code.
And
Oh,
zip
and
code.
your zip code. Your name, your state, your zip code.
The lovely Gina will be collecting your cards. So we can move along, so we can move into dialogue. Good times here. So the national action programs work to use a comprehensive approach in ERA advocacy, trying to maximize our efforts for advancement. One aspect is supporting ERA work in the states. For example, Illinois had a bill up, and they sent out emails to members. You had a Equal Rights Day, Barb, right? Wasn't it? The Women's Day there at the Capitol, and raising awareness about the ERA. So the National Action Center sent out an email to all the Illinois members to say, hey, this is happening, go out, call your legislators, go hang out with all your fellow sisters, and shout out on the lawn. In Maine, they passed a state level ERA. Unfortunately, they didn't have the 2/3 for ratification. But what we did is we did a Twitter storm. It was really quite fun. Part of it was just to raise awareness about the ERA and the fact that it has not passed yet. So it was a good vehicle to make that happen, and it was amazing the type of response that we got online, the retweets, the likes, and people starting to follow the organization. And another is the Visions for Equality blog. It's an interesting concept because it's kind of like a space that allows, I don't want to say just women, because I think that men are with us in this fight as well. Good men are. And little caveat there. But it's a place for all women to come from all different backgrounds, no matter religion, no matter race, no matter socioeconomic status, you can, or age. And you could put, and you can upload videos, photos, have chat conversations, and really connect on there what your idea of equality looks like. I mean, obviously, the more that we talk about this, the more that people are going to hear it, the more that it spreads, the more awareness, more success we could have. So now supports getting the ERA passed any way we can, whether that's 3-state or start over. So we're working at every angle that we can, and we provide resources and action items to do it, to do both. Right now, the 3-state, 2-state is most active, with different states, voting on this. We're also talking about, as a committee, possibly going to Virginia this legislative cycle. There are legislatures up for votes, and trying to work on campaigns to get ERA-friendly people in there so that when it comes up for a vote, we can get it passed. So sign up for the email sheet. I know, but I think that the one thing that we should point out, this resistance, I don't know, at least in Connecticut, there's certain areas where we've been fighting back that are typically Republican seats, and that outpouring that we've been having of Democrats who never, ever, ever came out has been huge. So I think that if we work together and we raise awareness and let people know what that means, I'd like to have hope. Si se puede. Questions afterwards. We'll come back to you.
I have an idea.
Oh, well, yeah, if we could just, we're almost done. So I'm gonna pass it over. We're gonna talk about state level work.
So really our ERA advocacy is going to begin and end at the state level. So, thank you. Thank you for the reminder. So our team is inspired by NOW's 50 years of activism that leads us to today. And after the momentous victory in Nevada, so we only have 2 more states to achieve this 3-state strategy. And there are a few states that have been really pushing to make their states numbers 37 and 38. So we've got a number of them up here on screen. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing in North Carolina. Steal these ideas, feel free. So we have bills introduced that are currently in the Rules Committee in both the House and the Senate in North Carolina. So we have a terribly gerrymandered General Assembly, but we are forging ahead nonetheless. Let's see. Okay, so we have joined in alliance with other organizations. So now is a lead organization for the ERA North Carolina Alliance, along with like AAUW, Business and Professional Women, the League of Women Voters, Democratic Women of North Carolina, and others. So what we're doing is we're lobbying. You see this little graphic here, the Operation Cookie Drop, just to get a last push to get movement out of the Rules Committee, where bills go to die. We had cookies made. There are heart-shaped cookies that said "I heart the ERA." And we used that as an opportunity to do face-to-face lobbying. So we went to all of the General Assembly members with cookies, to sweeten the deal, and personally asked them to move out of the Rules Committee, take some action, so that was a fun thing, and it was a very visual thing for us to do. We've also broken into congressional district action teams. We're pushing counties and municipalities at that level to get support from cities, towns, and counties to support the state level ratification. So trying to continue to build this groundswell. We're doing equal means equal VIP screenings. And that really, it really changes minds, So we're trying to get, the members of the county council, the community councils, things like that, people who would have a chance to make a vote, to get the, and we've got a sample resolution, and people kind of massage and make it work for their community. But just to get the groundswell, even coming from what are elected representatives at the lower levels. Letters to the editor, of course. And the Now Action Center also sent out a statewide alert to all of our members to call the Rules Committee members and urge action on the bills that were stuck in their committees. So this is something that we can do, let us know how we can help.
So it's, we're not supposed to ask questions, but this is specific. So this is a statewide versus the national, or?
So this is what we're doing in North Carolina.
Okay.
National, yeah, but the National Action Center actually, wrote an all-member email that went out to North Carolina members saying, here's the list of members on the Rules Committee, call them, urge action.
Thank you.
And I'm going to hand it over to Barb.
Is there a now webpage that has all of this material?
Yes, and we're going to show you that in just a moment.
Well, I'm from Illinois, and the status of the ERA in Illinois is as follows. We're doing better in the Senate than we are in the House. The ERA in the Senate was introduced as SJR CA4 by Senator Heather Steens, and it passed the Executive Committee. The slide up there shows a little bit of wishful thinking, a little bit of optimism, which we all need. It did not pass the Illinois State Senate, but it did pass the Executive Committee. The Senate didn't want to call it for a vote in the full Senate until they had enough votes in the House. This is kind of the story in Illinois. The House has passed it before, the Senate has passed it before, but never in the same year. So, and this year it wasn't even introduced in the House because of kind of this back and forth between the two bodies. This week, the Senator Steens Illinois Now, and other ERA groups met and discussed continued networking and advocating with House members. So Now and the Key Senator and other ERA groups are still working, trying to figure out how they can move the House along. And there's going to be an ERA event July 27th that Now is going to be at to increase awareness in this town. There's a university, and we're all going to bring people in from all of central Illinois to raise awareness and put pressure on downstate legislators.
What city would that be?
Bloomington, Illinois. Bloomington. What is the name of the university there?
Indiana.
What is it? No, this is
that's
this is
in Indiana.
Illinois Central College? Yes. Gosh, I'm like losing it. My memory. We have some really, really bad news as of yesterday in that in both the Senate and the House, the Democrats are in the majority. Well, the minority House leader was a woman that was very strongly in support of the ERA, so she was bringing along some Republican votes. She resigned yesterday. Well, she resigned effective today. And what happened is that, if you've heard of Illinois, we had this terrible budget problem with our governor. Well, she had worked with the Democratic president of the Senate to work out a budget approved by the Republicans and the Democrats. Yay, for the first time in 3 years, Illinois would have a budget, but the governor slipped it out from under her, and so she in protest resigned. And then she's been replaced by a minority leader who is strongly anti-ERA. So her name is Christine, I can't pronounce it, Radogno, and she's been replaced by Bill Brady. Bill Brady is also from Bloomington, and there are ERA groups that think they can make some headway with him, but for right now, he's for a long time been anti-ERA. So we're very discouraged by that development. So we'll keep working. We're mostly through networking. I think it's going to take all of us in Illinois to make this happen. Neighboring states, now groups in neighboring states have offered to come and help. It's wonderful to feel that support. National has lent their support, and it's wonderful to feel that you're not alone and have all your sisters everywhere willing to help. We just have to create the proper climate so that we can use all that help to make some headway. So that's the status of the ERA in Illinois. We're a little bit farther away than we'd like to be. Also, in terms of Virginia and Florida, to report on the status of the ERA in those states, there is currently no active legislation in these target states, but now activists across the country are strategizing and preparing for the next fight. So we think we're going to make progress and someday, huh? So that's my report on the current status.
It's not that gloomy.
No.
No. So this part, we thank you. We thank you for your excitement and enthusiasm. It's definitely, I find it inspiring. And it's time now for a question. Oh, no. Is it? I'm doing the resolution. I am so sorry. Well, thank you again.
Still a good morning, Jackie.
Still a good.
I really do hope my report didn't leave people feeling gloomy. We are determined, we are organized, and we have lots and lots of people working with us. So we're going to get an ERA out of Illinois. So on Thursday, your national board members met and developed a resolution for presentation to all you members regarding the ERA. That resolution appears before you here, and I'm just here to review that with you. Therefore, be it resolved that NOW will include in its 2017 and 18 National Action Program the continuation of its campaign to ratify the ERA, and Be it further resolved that this campaign will include working with State Now organizations in their efforts to ratify the national ERA and/or to pass a state-level ERA, mobilizing for passage of legislation in Congress supportive of the three-state and start-over strategies. So I'd like to stop here a moment and just emphasize that we're working not only for the national ERA, but also for state ERAs. We think that's really important. And I'll continue. And the use of digital advocacy, such as now's Visions for Equality, awareness-raising microsite, to uplift storytelling and increase the number of younger online activists who know the status of the national ERA and support its ratification. And be it finally resolved, now will promote diverse and intersectional interpretations of constitutional equality that reflect the many lived experiences of those of diverse social and cultural identities, race, age, class, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, immigration status, religion, ability, nationality, gender, and other axes of identity in the United States. So, so we're reaching out certainly to young people and to be as inclusive as we possibly can. So that's the resolution that we've approved for presentation. Thank you.
Bravo.
Yay.
Bravo.
SJ high five.
Yay. So thank you. And I'd just like to point out, when I was at the Democratic National Convention last year, there was a number of young people with ERA stickers on. So, and they had a workshop there about the ERA. So it was really encouraging to me to see. It was wonderful to see. So, questions now.
What is the R for? Ratify. Oh, ratify?
No, the first R.
We're a big R.
Okay, the big R. And I'm sorry, I want to start with you. With you had an idea that you wanted to point out.
Okay, I'm the Virginia Now president, and we started this whole fight like 9 or 10 years ago, brought it back up, and something you have here that the rest of you have not thought about. You want to help us, but we live in the Commonwealth, and this is a bunch of rednecks who don't care and don't want you. Yeah, exactly. But there's an idea here. There are only like 23 states that have an ERA clause in their constitution. Virginia has what they call a partial clause. And why don't you all work on the ERA in your states to get yourselves an ERA in your constitution, which gives us the mirror and across the United States to educate women. But look at your own constitution. I just looked up, someone from Minnesota the other day asked me what they could do. I looked up their constitution and there was nothing there. So there's, how many states are we talking about? 27? And get your towns to pass it in their little clauses or whatever, but go back to your state. That will educate your people that the rest of the United States does not have this. Because I talk to so many people that moved to Virginia that say came from California or Connecticut or someplace else, and they think that it passed because it passed in their state. They have no idea that it's not there, and they're ignorant of it. So work on your own states, look at your constitutions, and Oregon just reaffirmed theirs. Make that a priority to get it back, to reaffirm what is already there. But that will educate for us to get it done. But you can't come into Virginia, I'll tell you, because we tried that. People calling in to the switchboards, they just got angry and didn't pass it out of the committee in the House. And we can't hardly get it into the House, let alone you make them more angry for us. And I'm not trying to say don't help us, but the thing you can do for Virginia this year is we have a government races for the governor, lieutenant governor, all the legislators, not the senators, they're next year. But we have an election every single year, so it wears the crap out of us. And that's what they try to do. They do not want you to have a year off so you can get your energy back up. So we're always fighting an election, plus you have to keep track. She was just saying that we have no bills up. In the state of Virginia, we only meet in January and February. Those bills go in December. So in December, there'll be bills again. But, you know, after 9 or 10 years, you have to keep track of these people, whether they're reelected and whether they're with you or not, and then go talk to them in the off season. But help us by getting your own state to pass an ERA for your own constitution.
That's very, and I think maybe we should also, we can highlight that on the ERA website as well, because I thought it was interesting. I was watching TV when I was working on the Maine Twitter storm, and New York had this like, check out the Women's Equality Trail in New York. And I Googled, they don't have a state ERA. I thought it was really ironic. Anyway, sorry.
My state is Pennsylvania, and we have an ERA in our Constitution. And we have some of the most restrictive laws around abortion, etc. I haven't seen where having our state ERA has improved a damn thing.
Can I say
And
something?
I'm trying to, just a minute, I'm trying to find out, and I wondered if now it's doing anything like this, to find out how lawyers, or how the law in the states that have ERAs are using the ERA. Because it seems as though in Pennsylvania, they're not using it the way I think it could or should be used in certain instances. Otherwise, why would we have, such restrictive laws? So it's all nice for us to say how we want it to be interpreted, but depending on where you live and who's in your courtrooms, etc., that's not necessarily how it's going to be interpreted. And I just wanted to ask one more question, which is, when you talk about the starting over ERA as opposed to the 3-state ERA, are they all the same ERA that we remember from back in the day, the time that there was equal rights under the law, that's it? No further stuff. So, I mean, I just worry about that, how it's going to be interpreted once you've got it, because we've got it.
But you've got to take it to court. And there's another thing, you could raise money to take it to court, find a case, because if you don't take it to court.
Well, that's what we're trying to find out, is what the Women's Law Project is big in Pennsylvania.
But the thing is, if you don't take these things to court, like we have the partial ERA in Virginia, nobody's ever used it.
That's what I'm
to go
saying.
to court. So if you don't take it to court.
Yeah, you have to have a plaintiff to take something to court.
Exactly, so raise the money to get there.
You mentioned the ERA.
You post the wording for the ERA. You mentioned that you're going to tell us about information on the website. I don't know if I missed that.
It was just a.
So it's under the National Action Program?
Yes.
Okay. And then secondly, I don't know if everybody knows, but we still have our ERA Yes signs that we
Yes,
buy
I just ordered one.
on the website, the original ones, and many others. And then what about additional marketing materials? Like we used to, I know a long time ago, we used to have a lot of buttons and stuff. Is there any way that, we can, on the back, on our chapters only site, buy stickers and buttons and?
We don't have that right now, but we'll take it back and work, because I agree
We table at a Pride Festival with Planned Parenthood. They've got all this schwags in there. We've got our pamphlets. We also have somebody who harasses people to sign their lips.
Thank you, that's very helpful. I'm sorry.
Are the ERA rounds available here to purchase? Because for Equality Day, we should use Equality Day.
They're hard to ship, so they were all coming down from DC. So they are available on the website.
Yeah, they're only like $7.
I encourage people to do your Equality Day program August 26th about the ERA. We give the Alice Paul Award, and this year it's going to Congresswoman Lois Frankel.
Right. And also, I heard from Ellie Smeal in our meeting that there's going to be a week of activities, Equality Week as well, and they're planning a big ginormous concert in DC, ERA concert, September 22nd, 23rd weekend. They're going to do the whole mall, so that should be, that should be exciting.
In addition to the question about your state constitution, in Florida, women's advances have come because we have a provision in the state constitution on privacy.
And the thing is, you should look where women's rights are supported. And it can be in other things in the ERA language. So if everybody could get educated about some of the varieties.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring something up. I was sitting here thinking about the three-state. There's a lot of talk
turn around here?
I'm sorry. There's a lot of talk about Puerto Rico becoming a state. How would this affect it, or do we know? But it's something that we need to interesting. Good question. Well, it's scary. It could be grandfathered in, but I don't know.
Is there a hashtag for passing the ERA and one for this conference?
The conference is now 2017. Now,
Hashtag now.
hashtag now. For the conference?
For the
Oh, right, December. I thought it was now conference of 2017. Make one up. And I think for ERA, I know I've been using hashtag ERA now, ERA yes. There was one other. You asked another question. There was now conference for the ERA. With that, yeah. So those are the primary one, and yeah.
Jennifer, President of Now Sarasota Manatee. Just wanted to bring up something that I've been talking about probably since I joined Now when I was a child. One of the things that we're not thinking about when we think about passing a bill is who's voting on it. And I really think Now has to have some kind of initiative to get women elected. If we don't put women or at least like-minded people in those seats, like in Florida, we're never going to pass an ERA in Florida if we don't have the right people voting. And I think somehow when we're doing all of this, we have to look around and say, are you ready to run? It's time. It's time.
For my 2 p.m. workshop, where we're talking about how you get ready to run. So I think I don't know where it is. It's at 2 p.m. It's called Taking Your Activism to Getting Elected. And I have great workshops. That's actually called Vote, Run, Lead, has this program, Ready to Run. They have amazing stuff on their website, so I encourage you to come to that.
Emerge.
Oh, it's right next door? Okay,
Are you
Emerge.
familiar with Emerge?
Yeah.
Emerge is better than
Before we go to these other questions, I just wanted to, if you could just scroll down a little bit. So there are 3 different tabs here that you can look into. So there's take action, so specific actions that are going on. Oh, sorry, no. But there's another section which is news, resources. So outside resources pages.
Oh, cool.
And then the activist toolkits. So this gets you into like that social media toolkit that, you can bring people along. Yeah, here's the whole thing. So you could print this whole thing out and it gives you the entire toolkit, that you can just look through and hand out if you need to. Some great resources just put into the hands of your chapter members who are itching to work on this topic. Okay.
I'll just stand up. This maybe everyone knows this but me, but we're targeting those 4 because they're our best chance. Like, what about the other states that didn't ratify?
Those states are taking action already, so we're focusing our efforts there.
Okay.
Let us know what you need in your state.
The one thing Indiana did, we were the last ones that ratified. Amazing. It would never happen today, but we did ratify already.
I just want to add maybe another resource opportunity in the mix. And this is 2 things. One is to remind Now members, a couple of years ago, we passed a campaign called Ratify Women. And it was combining the effort to ratify CEDAW, the International Women's Bill of Rights, and the ERA, because we need both. We have the civil rights constitutional framework, which we need and deserve to be equal in, but we also have a human rights framework, which actually goes beyond what the Constitution includes in equality, which is both economic and social rights. So we are now, because of the ratification problem of CEDAW, we have a petition going around for a resolution tomorrow which complements and extends the ERA in two ways. These are cities for CEDAW, and in some cases, states for CEDAW, the, again, Women's Rights Treaty, that comprise of three things that we can learn from the ERA campaign. It requires a gender analysis of every community that adopts an ordinance. It requires all of the programs and the funds to meet gender equality guidelines. And it requires an implementation body that oversees the transparency and the accountability of this form of gender equality. So I think we could be thinking about those in relation to the ERA, but more importantly, there are 60 cities currently working on or ratifying the Cities for CEDAW. There again, a petition going around, 2 clipboards, if they are going around, that would be great.
Here's one of
And
them.
thank you. So we can even look at the cities that are currently working on CEDAW or have ratified and invite them in to the ERA campaigns, and we would very much like to work with this campaign. We didn't realize it didn't exclude CEDAW until we got to the board meeting, because we think we can work together and be stronger, because we need both forms of our rights going forward. So I invite you all to get involved. We have materials if you'd be interested. We have a Ratify Women toolkit that is amazingly missing from the now website that we'd be happy to forward, because it, again, enhances this campaign for our rights, and that's what this is all about. So thank you.
Great, thank you. We'll follow up with you. I also just want to point out that the National Action Programs are just not even a year old. No, just, they're like 5 months old. So we're really at the beginning of putting all of this together. So, you know, hearing from you about stuff like this is really super helpful. So thank you so much. And Alice, did you want to?
Hi, I'm Alice Cohan, and I was the field director for the first ERA campaign for NOW. And I really stand to reinforce what you said. We have got to recruit and help get elected feminist women and men who support us. Because if we look at Indiana and we look at Nevada, that just joined the list of ratified states, in both cases, the power in the legislature was turned by elections. And I think this is so wonderful, in case you don't know. The head of the Nevada campaign in the legislature is an African-American woman, veteran, out lesbian. How's that for a combination? And just met her just the other day, and she is dynamite. And so I just really encourage. Virginia is one of 2 states that this year has elections. So, you know, Diana, we can help from everywhere, because people can come take their vacations in Virginia and work on those elections. So all of the state legislature, the House of Delegates is up for election.
Great, thanks, Alice.
My name is Deb Kaplan. I'm running for State House seat 31 in Florida. Republican, who I guarantee you would not support the ERA. So she's the one that authored the 24-hour waiting period for abortion that was struck down in March. And I would welcome anyone that would want to work with me next summer as I'm knocking on doors and getting out the vote and supporting my campaign. I pledge to you that that's going to be one of the first bills that I will promote when I'm elected. Deborah Kaplan.
What county? So we have one more question, and then we have a little treat.
Is there anywhere on the website that we have now members who are actually running for office that we could help and support?
Oh, yeah. That's a great idea.
We'll get back to you on that. That's a very good
That's
idea.
a great idea.
Just one quick question. How critical is
Turn around and talk louder.
Okay. How critical would it be to support these now chapters in which, women who have the same values would be in any campaign? And I put this question to Ms. Kaplan.
Yes,
How critical?
very critical.
Yeah.
It is very critical.
So doesn't it make sense to pour some critical resources, that the Now chapter needs?
Right.
So people who are in the community, they got the face-to-face, relationships already.
I'm knocking on doors now and listening to people door to door to find out what kind of things that people want out of their government. And I'm trying to bring the ERA message to the women in Lake and North Orange.
But you can't do it alone. You need
others. I think we'll talk about this, but I think you make a very good point that Now sisters need to support their Now sisters, and we need to have that information in order to make that happen. So we have a really a treat for you today. I just learned about this fight song.
I love it.
The ERA fight song. I don't know if anybody. We're all going to sing it together. So Audrey, you're going to lead because. Stand up, everybody. Stand up. Get ready for the fight. We're launching it today. Audrey, our fabulous ERA fighter, is going to start this off.
All right, so I heard this came out of Florida after Florida did not ratify. So I was introduced to this lovely song a couple of decades ago and still sing it. Ready? You screwed us over, you voted nay. We're gonna get you come election day. So don't count your votes, boys, don't feel secure. We're gonna get you in the end of that, you can be sure. And we'll be back by the millions, you know it's true. Hold on to your hats, boys, we're coming after you. 'Cause here's a lesson learned, and on this you can rely. When we're screwed, we multiply.
Please come up and sign up on this email list so that we can continue to talk with you and let you know when we're doing actions. And these sheets were at the registration at the National Action Program table. So if you already signed up, you're probably on there. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.